You're listening to the Wartime Leadership Podcast. This episode, Michael Williams. And now your host for the new year, 2026, Nathan Coy.
Man, G, here we are. We're inching closer and closer to number 100, our first 100 episodes. So far, so good. I think we've got 2 or 3 more until we hit that number. And I'm excited, man. It's been a good journey with you. It's been wonderful just going from being stationed and living on a little bitty small island of Guam to now continuing what has become a lifelong venture together. I'm excited. I'm loving every minute of it. And today, we have entrepreneur, military man, great mind of his generation. That's right, Michael. I said it. You are a great mind of your generation. Michael Wayne, how you doing, sir?
Oh, blessed and highly favored, brother. Nice to meet you guys. Thank you guys for having me on.
Blessed and highly favored. Well, I know that you kind of have an idea of how we do this, but we start off with some easy, simple softball questions, but they come in the form of a random generator, and so I have to ask the question if it comes up. I just hit it. Who was your hero when you were a little kid?
Of course, I was fortunate to actually. I was my father. My father was my hero. May he rest in peace.
So what made him a hero in your eyes?
I'm third generation military. And just seeing him in that uniform, he was a CE dirt boy. So he'd come home with the tar on his boots, and he worked for a living. He wasn't a desk jockey like I was in the Air Force. And I just my mom loved him, and my sisters adored him. And I always wanted to be a father. Like right after I left his house, I wanted to be married, and I wanted to be just like him. So he was a prime example of what a man should be for his family and stuff. So
Outstanding. Hey, wait. Am I the only porter here that actually did his job while he was
Hey,
in?
whoa, shots fired, bro. Wait,
I
desk
wasn't a
jockey,
desk
what, were you on
jockey.
load planning for a long time? Like, Michael, like, were you just load planning? Is that all you did?
No, I did start at Fleet, carrying the 5 gallons, water jugs up and down the C5s. That was work. But once I got to PAX, I was like,
Oh, yeah.
dispatcher, working the gate. I'm not trying to throw any bags. Like I want to preserve my body. I saw what the Air Force did to my dad for 20
Oh,
years.
yeah.
And I try to preserve my body.
Yeah,
So
G and I are
recruiting, and I
living
finished
through.
recruiting. So I was
Oh,
definitely holding down a desk the last 8 years.
all right. Well, okay, so that's not too bad. How long did you do total in the military?
20 years and 4 days.
20. So, dude, I did 20 years and 1 day.
Okay.
Gotcha. But G's alluding to the fact that, so a majority of my career, so just so everybody knows, in our career field, there is something called getting boned. And when you get boned, you get presented a dog bone, and they have a dog name that they put across it, okay? And so mine was almost dog because I did everything but. I was a military training instructor. I retired as the commandant for ALS. Like, I did everything but. So a chief of mine, Chief Juan Guzman Gonzalez, G2 as he is affectionately known as, boned me as almost dog. So I always thought that was incredible. Yes, G, you are the only one that in fact did do your job. What's your favorite movie of all time?
My favorite movie of all time is it's gonna have to be I would say, I was just quoting it the other day to my wife. She's like, "What movie is it?" CB4. Are you guys familiar with CB4 Cell Block 4?
Yeah.
A spoof. It's a spoof movie of the old hip hop, or was that gangster rap
Yeah.
from back in the day?
I think that
Dude,
was
that's
like one of Chris Rock's early
Mhm.
things.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I mean, if we're gonna go with all time, G, what about you?
I go back to my childhood favorite. I got a bunch of DeLoreans behind me. You can't see them, but Bill and Ted. No, Back to the Future.
I was about to say Bill and Ted. Ooh, that would be I don't know. Bill and Ted's.
It's up there. It is.
It's up there. It is. All right, Michael. Have you tried suppressing your emotions?
Actually, I'm in therapy right now. I struggle being a being a business owner, and man, not having that the military cover you, and people are out here stealing from us. So it's hard. It's sometimes I have to. I need help. It's mentally challenging dealing with
Mhm.
civilians. I'm going to say that.
I miss
Well,
military stupid.
oh, there are times I miss the military. I look at my bank account and then I don't miss it so much anymore, but there is still something about it that I miss. But, I get to have this good relationship with G. So it still brings me back. And now that we got three porters in the room, I expect we're gonna get really good on that one. Have you ever tried? Actually, I think that one was already there. You hit the nail on the head because mental health is good health. But man, okay, I just hit one and I was like, nah, I am not going to ask that question of you, brother, because I'm not going to do that. What is the most important thing on your bucket list?
Um, I want to say getting my kids to. I have a bunch of kids. I adopted after I left G and Travis and moved down to San Diego. My family grew from 5 to 10, and I would like to get. And a lot of them are already grown and stuff. But I'm down to my last three. But I'd like to get a family trip to DC, man. Now that it's safe, I really want to go see all of the monuments and maybe get a White House tour.
Oh man, absolutely. DC is an absolutely amazing city. I was stationed there. I was Air Force One for 4 years
Okay.
after leaving Guam, and I will tell you, it is an absolutely amazing city. Now that they have really kind of safened it up,
Yeah.
it is an absolutely amazing. And winter time, you got to go in the fall or the winter because that's the best time when the air is crisp and you're able to kind of see all the snow on the ground. Oh, absolutely good. Hey, all right, Michael. So how this works? It's your time. It's your story. It's yours to tell. We talk about why spiritual resilience is so important and how it looks different to everybody. To G, to me, to you, we have different viewpoints that are important to know for ourselves. But there's some people out there that are questioning what spiritual resilience or even if it's important at all. And so knowing your journey and being able to listen to you and to be able to pull questions out from that along the way, the floor is yours, man. Just take us on a journey. Take us on your journey.
Yeah, no. So, again, thank you guys for having me on and to be able to share my story. But I started when I left G. I was a heathen. I was a typical port dog, drinking, chasing, married and still doing the ungodly things. And I did that for a long time. I went to beautiful San Diego, and was wilding out there. And then when I got out in 2022, and started really relying on God. I've always had faith. My mom's a pastor, my stepdad's a pastor, so I've always had, I was baptized and saved, so I knew better, and just coming out here and like I said, coming to be working with the civilians, you need faith. You got to have God, right? And man, driving that truck all over the country. Uh, because I wanted to be a truck driver. That was my thing. I wanted to see the world. My dad was, like I said, I'm third generation, so my dad pretty much took us back and forth from California to Texas and Oklahoma, and I loved the truck stops. So that was the thing. I wanted to be a trucker. So we do real estate as well. So I was like, babe, I'm gonna go get a truck. We were kind of going through we were going through our thing, my wife and I just jumped on the truck and I gave it my all, man. And you're talking about driving halfway across the country twice for free, people not paying. And then the truck, I bought a used truck. I didn't get a brand new truck. So it broke down all the time. So I was on my knees in that truck.
Hmm.
Lord, please, please let me make it through this snowstorm. And I think the come to Jesus moment I had when I had to get my life right was there was a snowstorm, I want to say in 2023. I'm driving from Texas up to Wisconsin, and it's like a graveyard. I've never seen anything like this, and it's like literally there was trucks and cars turned over on the side of the highway, and I'm like, just it's snowstorm, so uh, or it gets as the aftermath, but it was still icy, and then the truck broke. The truck broke right there. Matter of fact, it broke down in a city called it's where Abraham Lincoln is from there in Illinois. And I called my uncle. He sent me. It was like 6 grand to get this the fuel. I was having fuel issues, and I just like, God, you get me through this. I'm gonna get. I'm gonna get right. So I got finally made back with my wife. We got back together. And really just my daughters, my adopted daughter was like, Dad, why is it that all my dads leave? And I'm like, you know what? I can't do this. I can't do this. And I just pretty much gave up, smoking, drinking, fornicating, adultery. I gave it all up, man. And I'm living for God now. And now I've switched from trucking into general or contracting. We've kind of been doing contracting with the real estate that I've owned here in Texas and California. But now I'm all in, and I'm doing with working with Uncle Sam now. So I never wanted to work for Uncle Sam after I got out of the military, but I'll work with Uncle Sam because he pays really well for a lot of his projects. So yeah, that was that. That was just I was living the dream and driving trucks and man and just breakdown after breakdown and then load after load, them not paying, and then you guys have seen all the guys come from other countries driving
Mhm.
and doing U-turns and killing Americans and stuff, and it's just that the industry is just flooded with those type of people, and there's just no money in it, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna stick to blue collar, fixing roofs for Uncle Sam has $100 billion worth of equipment and I'm sorry, property all over the country. So yeah, we bid. What we do now is we sit here on behind the computer and we put in bids, and I'm pretty much back to my recruiting days of
Mhm.
just putting people
Yeah.
doing signing contracts and getting paid,
Well, that
is
makes
what I'm
sense.
doing now. But yeah, my faith, like I said, I got resaved again, baptized again here. Found a church called the Warehouse Church here in the Plano, North Texas area. And my pastor Ed Twinkle, he's a Philadelphia fan. I don't hold that against him. Me being I moved here for the Cowboys, so we left California. I was telling G earlier, we left California about August because, like I said, my adopted daughter, she's into sports, competition cheer, sports, everything, and I don't feel California is doing our women justice. We have to protect our women. That's just how I feel. Reading the Bible, it's getting real closer to God. I got to stand up for what's right. What's right is right, and what's wrong is wrong.
Yeah, and what was the deciding factor for you? Like where we kind of went over a large span of time in a very quick minute, but like where give us one moment, one instant where it was just a sudden change for you. Like there was just you knew that the change had to come, you knew that there was there, and then what was that moment?
Just God talk. Everyone has their different ways of how they talk to God. My subcon. I can. The red and the white. You remember the old cartoons, like, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. Hey, you probably should do that. And I couldn't ignore it anymore. I
Mm,
couldn't ignore anymore driving down that road on the highway and seeing all those trucks overturned and those cars crashed, and some of those crashes, someone lost their life, right? And so I realized I was doing something very dangerous, and God could call me home at any moment. And like I said, I was separated from my wife. I was working on my second divorce, and I'm like, you know what? I can't keep doing this. I can't
mm.
keep doing this. I've got to get it right. I want to be, God showed me this vision of helping veterans, felons, and foster kids get into the trades. And, I've always had this vision. And I was being selfish, driving that truck, being away from my family. I left them out there in California. I was being selfish, living with my mom there in San Antonio in 2022, 23 for about 6, 8 months. The truck broke. My business partner was freaking, bro, we need, when are we going to get back? And it was just a lot. And I just told God, like, God, if you can help me get to where I need to be, and helping other people. And now I'm a servant. I serve. I serve at my church. I'm in a prison ministry. The Holy Spirit wakes me up every now and again. I'll get up about 3, 4 in the morning, and I'll just, an email will come that I've missed during the day, and I'll respond to it. It's someone that needs something, and I have a wealth of knowledge, and so if someone needs something, they need to be pointed in the right direction for their business, or if a lot of people don't know that they're entrepreneurs. They just they're scared. A lot of people are scared to take that leap of faith, but praying and fasting really helped me. Once I asked God, hey, show me the way, and then I got introduced to fasting, man. And I'm not sure if you guys have ever fasted, but I've done several 72-hour fasts, and I'm actually going to start a Daniel fast here on Saturday. So to break it
Good
off with a
old veggies
72-hour.
and fruit.
Yeah.
Veggie and fruit one. You know, talking about fasting, fasting is really, really kind of a what is it? fasting without prayer is just starvation. So, there has to be the purpose to what it is. And I think that fasting has become a big thing in the health industry, especially lately, because it helps people's bodies either restart, regenerate, rejuvenate, whatever it is that they've been missing. But in a spiritual sense, it's starving the body of the food, physical food that a person requires in order to live, or what we believe that we need to have, and to go into a time of leaning into our faith. What do you do during your fast to lean into your faith more?
I normally just when that hunger comes, I'll just get on my knees. Like, I'll get on my knees and I'm in the word a lot. Like I'll cut off social media, and I think that's a big thing, is cutting off social media and just I'm in the word. If I'm on the phone, I'm in the word, reading the Bible. And one of the things when I was in the truck, I was listening. I don't read very well because I'm dyslexic, so I listen. Like if you tell me something and show me, I'll get it. So I just was listening. I finally read Revelation. As a child of God, I was always scared of Revelation. Like, oh my God, I don't want to know how the end. But once I learned it, it's like, dude, it's super simple. Don't be an adulterer. Don't be a liar, right? It's super simple. And give it, give your heart for, live your heart for God. Give more than you receive. And that's what I got out of Revelation. And now I'm not scared because I no longer, I'm saying, I'm no longer fornicating. And my wife is my wife, and she's, that's God. I asked her to marry me. We took a covenant in front of God, and I need to honor that. And even though she drives me nuts, I'm quite sure you guys too, like my wife drives me nuts, but I'm realizing it's part of, when I ask for a peaceful wife, God's not going to give me peace. He's going to give me all the chaos and nonsense, and I have to get better at it. And that's why therapy, I said at the beginning, going to therapy and speaking, and then just being plugged in with my group at church. But I'm surprised how many people don't fast. I'm really surprised how many people don't fast. But yeah, when I fast, I'm in that word. And man, it really it helped me realize I have glutton for snacks. The sugary, like G will tell you, when I always had some kind of Twix, junk food at the what you call it, and I was healthy with my body. I worked out a lot, but was throwing a bunch of junk in there. And now that I fasted, and this will be my 7th fast coming up this weekend, so I'm a lot better with controlling those urges. I know I'm no longer junk food junkie anymore.
Yeah, I had to look over at my wife and just, shake my head like, "Psh, nah, you a Proverbs 31 woman. We don't have that problem. No, you a Proverbs 31 woman." Because she will beat me. She is a Filipino feisty one, and she will just hurt me. But she is, 16 years of marriage. I learned very, very quickly. Uh, I wasn't as, I don't want to say faithful. Like I'm faithful to her, but I'm, as far as like my relationship with God, I wasn't necessarily faithful to the growth of that relationship, while I was focused on the growth of my relationship with her. Uh, you walk away and you want to lean into them more. You want to lean into that relationship. You want to make sure it's there. Um, how long have you been married?
We got married February 14th of 2012, so it'll be 14 years coming up here in February. So
We're at
I remember.
16.
I remember.
You remember when he got married, huh?
Well, yeah, I think Micah's we were working together in 2012 still.
yeah.
Working it. I didn't want to say 4, but
Yeah, we got married on a trolley in San Francisco. I'll never forget it.
On
I
a
think I signed his
trolley.
leave paperwork.
Yeah, you had to sign it literally back then. What is it? 14 years. You have to have had or found this resilience in the marriage. How have you continued to rekindle that resilience over and over again?
I would, and brother, I'm still new at this, bro. I know it sounds 14 years sounds like a lot. Like I said, we've been like separated and back together, but you know what? I just getting in the like leaning on God, man. Leaning on God and really, brother, just loving, you know, I'm supposed to love her and my neighbors like they're Jesus Christ, right? Like Jesus is in them, whether they cuss me out, they yell at me, they're upset that I parked my car, or it was loud, or whenever she's upset at me for, getting in some of my depression modes and laying in bed when she's upset. I have to still love her because she has expectations, and I just have to be really patient. I have to be patient, and realize that I'm not going to appease everyone. And yeah, I just have to lean on God, my faith in God, and be like, look, God is in her, and no matter what, I wouldn't yell at God. You would, dude. I read, I heard the Bible for the 2 years I was in the truck, and God is very vengeful, and He'll strike you down if you do anything wrong to Him, or that He disagrees with, and I just don't want to. I don't want to disappoint God, and I have to see the God in her, even though she worked my nerve. She worked my nerves. She's a busybody. She's a GS-13 working for Homeland Security, man. She's super busy right now with all these claims of all these guys out here getting hurt, and she's training. She's got a lot of authority, but sometimes I'll have to say, hey, babe, I'm as your God-given man of God, of this leader of this house, I have it's on me. If this show stops going, it's on me. And I need you to get in line. And I know that sounds, but there has to be, just like I told you earlier, the military. I missed the military because it was, hey, the commander, first sergeant, superintendent, we all had our thing. And if somebody did something wrong, I could go, hey, either IG, but in the civilian world, you're on your, I've lost thousands of dollars dealing with people that don't want to do right. The world is wicked. This world is wicked.
Yeah, it's you're not wrong, as my son would say. You're not wrong. You're 100% hitting the nail on the head for sure. I think that, when I transitioned, G knows the story, he's heard it before. When I transitioned to be an MTI, like I would go, and for those outside of the Air Force, that is a drill instructor. When I would transit Gosh, okay, we gotta take away your toys, G. Gotta take them away.
No.
When I was the instructor, and I would come home, like I would, you listen to me, you do as I say, you're going to, you know how the MTI, the drill life is. It's very regimented that you are going to do things my way. This is how it's going to be. I'd come home and I'd tell my wife, like, hey, can you go get me a cup of water? And she'd be like, kitchen's right over there. You go get it yourself. And I was like,
Yeah.
I said, and oh boy, man, I remember the first time I ever said that, and she had to look at me, sit me down, and go, listen, you are my husband. Yes, you are the ruler, the head of the house, but I am the neck, and I will turn the head in whichever direction I need it to go.
Yeah.
And it was a very real conversation that we had to have with one another, because I was so used to being in charge. And so I understand what that looks like, even in that flip, that GS-13, I'm still the man of the house whenever I'm here. I am still, as Christ is the bride to the groom, right?
Yes.
Like that is how we're supposed to lay it out. And I know you've read the Bible because you said Revelation, and not like normal people do and say Revelations because they think it's multitude. It was one sitting, one time where he was sitting and going through and understanding. So kudos for not adding the S on the end of that. G, you've been married 22 years, correct?
Yeah, I hit 22 years last month.
So
Congratulations,
how do you deal with that? I mean, I say deal with that. How do you deal with the dichotomy of a wife who has been there for a good portion of your career?
Trauma bond. Like I tell people, finally, everyone's crazy to an extent. Call it whatever you will, some type of mental health issue, just personality traits. Find your crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But if you guys can deal with each other's crazy, your little idiosyncrasies, all the things that make you and piss them off.
Oh yeah.
If you can live with that and come back from that at the end of the day, everything's good. And don't go to bed angry. All those classics, happy wife, happy life stuff. That's true. Handle that stuff, because I know I can drop stuff at the door, and once I say my piece, I'm done and I feel much better. But they work a little differently. She can be mad for hours, or, storming around. I'm like, what's wrong? Oh, that stuff a couple hours ago. I totally forgot about it. I thought, I'm good. I got it out. I exploded. I yelled at the dog about something. We went out for a walk and talked.
Yeah.
But no, you just get to know each other after a while. All the moves, the military stuff. Like I said, I made the joke trauma bonding, but my kid, stuff like that. That either puts you too tight or breaks you up, and it did both. It tore us apart, and then we put it back together again, and it's much better now than it was, 12 years ago when all that stuff went down. And I was at the CRW with Mike, and things got real. Everybody was so awesome there, and I missed that support. There is no such support as like a good squadron that's got your back, and everybody comes and getting a little choked up.
Yeah, exactly. And it does become a brotherhood, a sisterhood, and ultimately a family. And I think that's the aspect that I miss. I know that being the commandant for ALS, like I got to hear a lot of the stories about different squadrons on base here at Charleston where commanders were not taking care of their airmen, where airmen were not getting taken care of, where their bosses were taking things to the far extreme and weren't actually being that leader that we're teaching them to be. And so I've seen in my transition to civilian life a heaviness from the other branches. I think because of the fact that so Mike, just so you know, I transitioned over to the Navy as a civilian. I was working on submarine communications for a long while with them, and now I'm a DoD contractor working for a contracting company, also on a Navy program. But I think I've taken a lot of heat because people look at us and they go, "Oh, Chair Force," they make fun of. But then we sit down and we have real conversations, and they're like, "I miss the camaraderie. I miss being able to have these types of conversations with people where I can be real, be who I am, and have that." So, in your transition to owning a business, you have employees, I would assume. Okay. How has that transitioned in your life from being in the military, brotherhood, sisterhood, camaraderie, to how you lead within your organization?
I've been told I can't be militant, right? Sergeant Williams says, "Hey, airmen, do this. You got to do it." But as a business owner, and I deal with felons, and I deal with a lot of foster kids, so a lot of people that have gone through a lot of things. I try and lean on God for understanding and patience, right? Uh, but it's tough. It's tough because I'm the commander, the CEO, like I'm everything. And every dime that comes and goes into this company, it's on me to make sure that I can provide for, keep those paychecks going. And if anything goes wrong, these people lean on me. So it gets tough sometimes. Like I said, therapy. It's free for us veterans. So I'm not sure if anybody out there that's listening to this, man, go to your appointments. Definitely go talk to someone and get plugged in with your, just even this right here is helping me. Um, just being able to talk to like-minded people. Because like I said, not everyone is an entrepreneur. There are people that want to be entrepreneurs, but it's a lot. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of patience, a lot of understanding, and yeah, I've got to lean on my faith. I know it sounds taboo, but you know you have to have a belief system in order for this train to keep going. If not, it will be derailed very, very fast because the devil is always, hey, why don't you try? Remember that? Let's go get high, or let's look at that woman over there. And I'm always fighting those demons. And that's one thing I've realized with my faith. God draw me closer to you, but it's not gonna be like, hey, Mike, you're my son and I love you. No, it's gonna, the devil is here and he's attacking me every day. And I fight the depression and then anxiety. I'm anxious all the time. And it's just I have to lean on that faith. I have to lean on the Father.
Okay, well then let me ask you this. This is kind of the question that we used to ask it at the very beginning of the podcast, but I have actually found a lot of value in asking it towards the middle to end. And because it becomes kind of this culmination of what it looks like. How would you define spiritual resilience? How do you define it?
My definition of spiritual resilience is, you know, when things don't, you're working for a contractor. Whenever things never go, every day we wake up, it's not the same as yesterday or last year. It's not. And, I can't, I can't blame God if things go bad or if things go left, right? And I just have to go to Him, for the wisdom. And that's one thing I've really been on, that God give me the wisdom to see, right, to be able to see before it hits the fan. Like, give me the wisdom so I can already start, using, my give me the spidey senses to know that, hey, this is about to go left. Let's try and veer it right. And yeah, just leaning back into, my spiritual resilience is just leaning into God when things go bad, just being able to say, hey, God, I need you. Just going to God. Like, literally, I was just saying a prayer real quick. I'm at, like, Lord, I was anxious to even get on here and talk to you guys. I've been anxious all day. I cleared my calendar just to talk to you guys. This is big for me. Talking to other veterans and getting spiritual. Like, dude, I love this. I love this. It's awesome.
Well, these were definitely things that we didn't used to it used to be taboo. I remember in basic, I got in trouble for, quote, proselytizing
Mhm.
with trainees, but they came to me and asked me how I made it through. And I had a very real conversation. I said, you asked me how I made it through, so I'm going to tell you. It was God. It was my faith. It was being able to lean into Him in those moments when I needed Him in order to be able to do it. And then to turn around and have, the superintendent of basic training call me in and say, hey, you were proselytizing to trainees and that's against the, and I said, no, 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 no. I had it ready. I was like, no. And I think that's why correct me if I'm wrong, this is why this conversation has become so important, is because we have differing faiths, we have differing thoughts. We should be able to have a conversation about these things to
Mhm.
where it's very open. Gene, we've had atheists, we've had agnostics, we've had former Catholic priests that are gay that then end up leaving the faith to go in a different direction. Like, I'm open to the conversation. I want to have the conversation with people. Um, and I know G and I have differing faiths as far as that goes, but we have grown together in a very strong bond because of it. And there's been many times where this podcast was on the rocks of not making it to 100 because time got in the way, or we got tired, or we moved. He moved, to a different house. I moved to a different house, a different state, started a new job. But it's the conversation that's driven this podcast to where it is.
Would you say it's the hook that brings you back? Ah. All right, I'm a dork. I have to
Folks,
bring the
I
levity in there.
apologize. And I know that most of
You guys
you are
all exist out of
listening.
faith. I exist out of spite. That's how I pass basic.
You exist out of spite.
And
You're not
caffeine.
wrong.
And it used to be nicotine.
How's that going?
I haven't had a cigarette in years.
That's good. Keep it that way.
Oh, come on. We'd turn this all like different colors. That would be awesome.
No. Mike, so in that transition, leaning into your faith, you've given us the definition, how you define spiritual resilience. So then tell me, how do you instill that in all 10 members of your family? Because you've
Uh,
got that big old family.
Yeah, no, and I had some a couple of kids that were, bi and atheists and non-believers, and I wasn't upset with them. We had to go to church. That was,
Hmm.
you're under my roof and I'm paying the food on the table. You got to go to church. But ultimately, and they came around. Everyone's a believer. They don't, there's not a big, no one thinks, oh, we're here from monkeys and the egg came first or whatever. And it was tough. It was tough because I felt alone. My boys were all young. My boys were all young, so it was five girls and then my wife, and they were very headstrong, and it was tough sometimes, with the boys. I lost all my girls. All my girls, like, were in the garage. I have pictures and videos of us in the garage working on cars. But then once the boys came in, everything changed, and but I just had to rely on God to show the God that I showed them, the godly man that I am. hopefully they take that and they look for a man that is, one is married, one's on her way, two of them are about to get married, and then the other one, she's having some come to Jesus moments, and all we can do is support them, send them scripture every morning. But yeah, no, it was tough. It was tough, but God works in mysterious ways, and I realized I got to get out of the way. When the Lord is working, I get out of the way. He does his thing, and he's going to take us all. We've all been down a path, right, that we probably shouldn't have gone down, right? And it's for a reason. It's all by design, right? Everything's by design. So I realize I can't control what they say, what they do. They're grown women now, and I just know that they do have, there's God in there, right? Because I hear it. You hear it. It comes out. So we did right. We did right. So like I said, my little America. That's my youngest adopted daughter. Her name's America. She's definitely seeing this transition from bad boy, knucklehead, yelling Mike all the time, to now I'm more loving, more caring, more understanding, because I see the God in her too.
Yeah.
Mike, you call yourself a knucklehead and all that stuff. I don't recall that at all working with you. You must have hit it really well.
Oh, I hit it, brother. Oh,
I thought I was the,
there was a Mike at work that was, hey,
Yeah.
let's get work done. And then there was like, hey, I'm ready to go hit the club. I'm ready to go, even though I was getting married, I was still,
I was the one that was like, and they smell it on my breath from last night, I was like, thought you were really, you held it together, Mike.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. No, I was lying. It was a lie. It was a lie. I was lying to myself. But you can't, I forgot what scripture it was, but it's like whatever secret you tell someone, be prepared for it to be yelled from the mountaintop into the valley. So, I'm not ashamed. You guys can ask me anything. It brought me here to where I am now, right? To be a successful business owner, contractor. I had to go through it. I had to go through it.
Well, and I think that's the vital part, because it's actually funny. My son the other day asked me. My son is also adopted. He asked the other day, kind of that around that same context of how did you do it, or have you always been this nice, or have you all, the way he says things, I know when he's fishing for something, but it's in those moments I can still have a good conversation with him about things like this. And I was like, no, like I was a 2T2, for all have 2T2'd, sorry, for all have sinned, and come short of the glory.
Yeah.
I said, son, you're not immune to it. I'm not immune to it. And I'm going to tell you a really big surprise. Your mom's not immune to it. No matter how perfect you think she is, she's not. But it's showing him what that relationship looks like, because I know where he came from, in the instance of all of your kids, because I don't have to call them foster kids. Like they're your kids, because you put a part of you into every relationship that is cultivated and created out of that moment. And even being able to show my son us going over to somebody's house to pray with them before they go into surgery, like he gets to see a little bits of that. It's not my choice to choose for him in those moments. Yes, it is the same way with us. I foot the bill, your butt's in the seat. You're going to be listening to church every time. But even these kind of conversations, when he gets to sit in with me and hear, he learns what it is to have relationship. G and I have a relationship because we continue and we choose to invest time into each other in moments like this. And even was that a like
No. A little bit of money in there too, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I pay you to be my friend. It is what it is.
If I could add one
on the
more
record.
If I could add one more thing to that, I do have an uncle who I remember when he, like I said, he was a military family. He was, army, came out. He was doing all the ungodly things, but he's now a pastor, and he's, and I lean on him. I call him like, Unc, the devil's attacking me, and he's like, son, you don't think, and I just being having the confirmation that other Christians are dealing with the same things. Like, hey, he's dealing with flesh as well. I'm not the only one that deals with flesh. It's and now I feel alive. Like, I feel that, I'm not a demonic, going to hell, condemned to hell Christian, but I'm being around, and my church is the same thing. My pastor, dude, I made mistakes and I'm still dealing with these things. Like, and as Christians, I would be lying to you guys if I sat here like, oh, I'm goody two shoes and nothing ever comes across. I don't have the urge. I don't slip up and smoke a little ganja every here. I would be lying to you, and I'm not going to be a liar, because liars go to hell. So, I do, and just hearing it from other Christians, hearing them like, hey, I'm still fighting this. I'm still fighting that. The temptation, and it helps. And it's like, man, I'm not alone. This spiritual battle is real.
So
It
then,
is real.
how do
It
you
is real.
balance that then with your kids? Because I'm going to experience this, I know, soon with him. But how do you balance that with your kids? Where how much is too much to tell them that you've done? Like, you want to be open and honest with them, but at the same time, you don't want to validate what was being done.
So, my wife and I, we go with this all the time, because like I said, I'm an open book. You ask me, hey, Dad, did you smoke this? Did you have fornicate when you were 12, 15? Yes, I did. And I would be lying to you if I told you I didn't. But like I said a little bit earlier, we all have our walk. My wife is like, I don't want my daughter staying the night at people's house because she can get raped. Well, I was raped, and my parents trusted a female from work. She came and raped me at 14. So it could happen anywhere. But it's God's walk. It's your walk with God that you have to go. We all have to go down a path, right? Unfortunately, it's not going to be, it's not going to be a goody two shoes, I'm going straight to heaven walk for some of these 12-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 18-year-olds. They're going to, we're going to, fall short. They're going to fall short. And all we can do as Christians is not judge. Like, we can't judge them like, hey, I wouldn't do that. I did this, and, this happened. That's all we can do. But ultimately, we just have to trust, and really, I tell my wife, you got to trust in God. You got to trust him. If you believe in God and you go to church and you read the Bible and you know that, I claim Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. And if, you're my wife and these children do the same, you have to know that God has them and that God is going to take care of it. And, and no weapon formed, against me, against them, against you will prosper. So, yeah, they're going to go through it, and they have choice. It's a choice, left or right, left or right. You got to give it to them. It's their choice.
There was a comedian once, a Christian comedian, who was talking about, I had that conversation with my son. He looked at me and he said, "Hey, Dad, where'd you meet Mom?" And I told him, I looked into her eyes, I saw myself in her, I saw who I was, and just as I put that dollar bill up on stage and the way she rode that pole, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like I literally like was falling for this dude. Like, he was sitting there going, and the way she rolled that pole, I was like, but he made a very good point with it. Like, where you spend your time, who you invest your time into, is what's going to be the output of that equation, and how you are going to spend your time. So I was doing 2T2 things, right? You said it exactly that same way. In the military, we get into this live and let live type of mentality, and this thought that I'm never going to die, nothing bad is going to happen to me. I have made it through hell, and I am back, and I have the ribbon to show you that I've been there and I've done that. But the reality is, 2 plus 2 is going to have an outcome one way or the other, and it's going to be a wrong answer, or it's going to be a right answer. And how well you invest in your children is ultimately to the level and extent of what that looks like. Yeah, G.
I wouldn't necessarily say wrong. Instead, you can make a positive out of or a poor decision. So saying something's wrong, meaning I think you're not getting something out of it when I hear wrong. When you make a wrong decision, I've learned so much more from my mess ups than doing anything good, and I still do it. I just do it slower.
Gee, what is it? A hard head makes a soft butt?
Yeah.
I've graduated from that school. I graduated. My mom, like I said, my mom's a pastor. She's like, Mike, don't do XYZ or ABC is gonna happen. And I'm like, XYZ sounds fun.
Those lists that they have out that says put a check mark of what you did, like back in the 80s or 90s and all that fun stuff. I need more paper.
Yeah.
My kid's like, well, what did you do? I'm like, there's not much you can do that I haven't. And that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're sitting there going, I need a calculator. They're like, no, it's just simple answers like 2 plus. No, I need a calculator. You ain't gonna have it. Yeah. Well, hey, Mike, I really do appreciate it. I really I value your story. I value you. Even having never met you and having conversations with G about who you were as a person in the shop, out of the shop, uh, I knew that this was going to be a good conversation. He told me a little bit about it. I never want to read too deep into somebody before I get into a conversation just because of the rawness that kind of comes out of what this looks like. What would be the greatest piece of advice that you would give a much younger version of yourself?
Ooh, that's a good question. As the closer I get to God, I start realizing, and I ask myself, like, man, what would I tell my younger self, uh, to avoid or not to avoid, to do or not to do? And you know what, brother, man, I would just say, keep loving, man. Keep loving.
Yeah.
Keep on loving. How God put love in my heart. I know I've done a couple of girls wrong, just because I was done wrong, but I would just tell myself, there's going to be heartbreaks, there's going to be heartaches, there's going to be pains, there's going to be people that you trust, supervisors that you trusted. Unfortunately, not everybody wasn't like G when I left UG. Woo, that supervisor I got in San Diego, boy, oh man.
Mm.
But yeah, no, I would just tell myself, keep loving, keep trusting God, keep loving everyone like their God. The Bible says we're supposed to love thy neighbor like you love yourself. So, I would just, I would do that, because there was a dark time in my life where I hated, and I think I would just tell myself, love, continue to love, and God is going to you're gonna see in the promised land, at the end, what the glory.
So if you could change everything in what you did, how you did it, but the outcome would be different, would you change it?
No, absolutely not. I
Good
wouldn't have,
answer.
like, I'm not sorry, my knucklehead America just walked in. You mean I would have to walk away from her sisters, her brother that I'm so proud of? Like, I cannot do say that, man. I can't do it. My children, my stepchildren. I brother, I'm telling you, my dad raised me to be a dad. I didn't even know this. I had to raise my sisters and get them to school, and I hated it. I didn't have my first kid till I was 30, and that's when I married my wife. When I got my second wife, I went from no kids, living a bachelor life, to a family of 3 and 1 on the way from my baby mom, and I wouldn't change anything, brother, because, man, just having that family of 8 kids, and you should see Christmases, man. Christmases are crazy, and like, no, I wouldn't change anything, brother. God put me down this path for a reason. Like, I'm here in front of you guys talking to all of you for a reason. And, man, I just like love, like, there's still love in this world. That's why God hasn't come and destroyed it yet, because there's still people here that love and that believe that, love, just love, man. Love, love, love.
Man, I love hearing you say that. G, I think we've come to the end of this show. Again, everyone, I appreciate it as we inch closer to 100. We have something planned. Hopefully, it will be executed to the best of our ability for 100. It's going to be a special show, but I got to tell you, this one was also special for me. Take it away, G.
Check us out on wartimeleadership.com, on Facebook and Instagram with the same name. And, Mike, why did you put REO Speedwagon in my head? Because I'm going to keep on loving you, man.
Love you too, brother.